There is one sentence at the center of this controversy, but what makes the situation so serious is not simply what was said. It is what was left unsaid. After the incident involving Xiao Zhan, a fan site associated with Kim Seokjin, also known as Jean, issued a statement. But according to the information available here, the statement did not apologize to Xiao Zhan. Instead, it referred to a previous remark by Xiao Zhan about fans' behavior not being attributed to the artist himself. And that choice has become the new focus of the discussion. So what exactly is being debated, and why are people arguing that this goes far beyond an ordinary fan dispute? Let's separate the facts from the reactions, and then look at the question that remains unanswered. Fact first. After the incident, the involved Kim Seokjin fan site released a statement. The key point is that the statement did not contain an apology to Xiao Zhan. Rather than directly addressing the victim with an apology, it cited Xiao Zhan's previous position that fans' behavior should not be attributed to the artist himself. The statement therefore became part of the controversy itself. And this distinction matters. The issue is not simply whether fans supporting different celebrities disagree with one another. The central criticism described in the information provided is that an act described as illegal should not be reduced to an ordinary conflict within a fan community. That is the core fact-based issue being discussed. Now comes fan reaction. A large amount of discussion criticized the statement for appearing to avoid the central issue and for lacking sincerity. The criticism focuses on what many people see as a mismatch between the seriousness of the incident and the way the statement addressed it. In other words, the controversy shifted. At first, the attention was on the incident itself. After the statement was released, attention also turned toward the response to that incident. That is an important change because public reaction is often shaped not only by what happened, but also by how people believe responsibility is being addressed afterward. And here, the strongest criticism can be summarized in one idea: illegal behavior should not be softened into a simple fan dispute. But there is another important distinction we need to make. A fan dispute and a matter involving alleged illegal behavior are not automatically the same thing. If conduct crosses a legal boundary, then describing it only through the language of fandom can potentially obscure the more important question: what actually happened, and what responsibility follows from it. That is why the phrase fan dispute has become so controversial in this discussion. Now let's move to opinion. In my view, the most significant part of this story is not which fandom is involved. It is the principle behind the argument. Fans can disagree. Fans can criticize one another. Different communities can defend the celebrities they support. None of that should automatically turn into a conflict between the artists themselves. But when an incident potentially involves personal privacy or legal boundaries, the conversation needs to move beyond fandom identity. That is where this controversy becomes much more meaningful. The name of a celebrity can attract enormous attention, but celebrity fandom should not become a shield that changes how serious conduct is discussed. At the same time, it is also important not to make the opposite mistake. We should not automatically assign personal responsibility to an artist simply because someone identifies as that artist's fan. That is precisely why Xiao Zhan's previous statement, as referenced by the fan site, is relevant to the discussion. The principle that fans' actions should not automatically be attributed to the artist is a reasonable distinction to examine. But, and this is the crucial point, that principle does not necessarily answer the separate question of whether a specific action itself was acceptable or legal. Those are two different questions. One concerns whether an artist should be held responsible for an individual fan's behavior. The other concerns whether the individual behavior crossed a legal or personal boundary. Confusing those questions can make an already complicated situation even harder to understand. And this brings us to speculation. There may be interpretations about why the fan site chose to reference Xiao Zhan's previous words instead of offering an apology. Some people may interpret that decision as an attempt to shift the discussion away from the incident itself. But we cannot state that as a confirmed intention. The information provided does not establish the private reasoning behind the statement. So we should stop there. We can analyze what the statement contained. We can analyze how people reacted to it. But we should not invent motives that have not been confirmed. That distinction is especially important in celebrity controversies, where assumptions can spread much faster than verified information. There is also another question we should be careful with. The information describes the conduct as illegal and says the controversy concerns privacy and personal safety. However, without additional verified details about the underlying incident, we should not add specific legal accusations, punishments, or outcomes that have not been provided. What we can say is that the debate has moved toward a broader principle. Personal privacy and safety should not be treated casually simply because the people involved are connected through celebrity fandom. And that may be the most important takeaway from this entire controversy. Because once fandom becomes the framework for everything, there is a risk that people begin asking the wrong question. Instead of asking, "Which side are you on?" the more useful question is, "What actually happened, what can be verified, and what standards should apply to everyone?" That approach protects both sides from unfair assumptions. It also protects the artists themselves. Xiao Zhan should not automatically be blamed for the actions of people who support him. Likewise, Jean should not automatically be blamed for the actions of individual fans simply because they identify with his fandom. But individual responsibility still matters. And if conduct truly crosses a legal boundary, then calling it merely a fandom disagreement does not make the underlying issue disappear. That is why the missing apology has become such a powerful point of discussion. For critics, the absence of an apology represents a failure to directly acknowledge the person affected. For others, the reference to Xiao Zhan's previous comments may be understood as an attempt to distinguish the artist from the behavior of fans. Both points can be discussed without turning this into a fan war. Ultimately, the biggest unresolved question is not which celebrity has the larger fandom, and it is not about winning an argument online. It is whether responses to serious incidents should prioritize accountability, clarity, and respect for the people affected, or whether fandom dynamics will continue to dominate the conversation. For now, based only on the information available, one thing is clear: the statement did not apologize to Xiao Zhan, and that omission has become a major source of criticism. Everything beyond that needs to be handled carefully. No invented motives. No invented legal outcomes. No unsupported claims. Just the facts, the reactions, and the questions that remain open. So, what do you think? When an incident potentially crosses the line from a fan disagreement into a matter involving privacy or the law, should the response focus first on accountability rather than fandom loyalties?